All right, welcome back. So in this course, we start off by talking about decidedly non-Bitcoin specific topics. That's a terrible way of putting it. We talk about the history of money. We talk about types of currencies and digital money and basically precursors to Bitcoin. And we think it's important enough that we do that early on. But the trade-off is that we don't quite get to the meat of Bitcoin. We don't get to Bitcoin itself for at least a couple videos. And this course isn't terribly long, so it's not that long of a wait, but we decided why not put a super short analogy, a very, very quick introduction to how Bitcoin or a single Bitcoin transaction works in like 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. Don't hold us to it, but we're going to try. So here we go. Okay, this is such a terrible slide if you have no context. It looks like we're talking about the company Dropbox, which we're not. There is an actual item in the world called a Dropbox.
Yeah, where you return videotapes, sort of like a mailbox.
Yeah, stuff goes in. Anybody can put something in there. Anybody can go to the library, put a book in, but only the librarian.
Library master.
The library master can unlock that box and take all the books out. It's a one-way system. So why do we have this here?
What's this have to do with Bitcoin? Suppose I'm going to send Colt some Bitcoin. What Colt is going to do is he's going to use an app on his phone to create a disposable Dropbox for me.
Okay, and what is it actually called in Bitcoin?
It's called an address, and that's really just a destination for me to send Bitcoin.
It's like if he was sending me a letter, he needs a place to send it to.
Yeah.
In this case, though, it's a really long string of numbers and letters that's impossible to remember.
So instead, it's pictured here as a QR code, and many Bitcoin applications use QR codes as a convenience layer on top of the underlying address.
Okay, so I make these, and here I actually have 3 of them because Kevin's going to send me Bitcoin, my mom's sending me Bitcoin, and my dog is sending me Bitcoin. And they each have a special place to send it to. Now, along with it, we have a key pictured. And that's because a lockbox or a Dropbox like this is useless if nobody can get anything out of there.
Or if everybody can get it out of there.
Yeah. Or the opposite. But in our case, anyone can put something in, but only I, the creator who has the key, can unlock it. I basically tell Kevin, here's where I want you to send the Bitcoin to. Kevin's going to send me 10 million Bitcoin.
I'm going to send you 10 Bitcoin. 10 million would be half of all of the Bitcoin. I'll send you 10 Bitcoin.
I'm happy with 10 Bitcoin.
That's very generous.
That's still quite a bit of money today.
So I put the Bitcoin, we'll explain what this process is mathematically on a computer, but for the analogy, just imagine that there's an operation I can do where I put digital Bitcoin into this Dropbox. And as soon as it's in there, it's locked in place. I can't get it out.
Right.
Now, the next step and the next leap of understanding that you have to try and take before you'll have to take our word for it.
Yeah, this is the weirdest part.
Yeah, is that instead of me walking that Dropbox to Colt and saying, here's your Bitcoin, what I instead do is I take that locked Dropbox and put it in the middle of a public place. And that public place is called the blockchain.
It's a pile of a bunch of other transactions, a bunch of these other locked boxes that somebody has a key to each one. The idea is that they're all out. Everybody can see them. So everybody knows. So they don't actually, we'll get into this. It's anonymous. It doesn't show who sent what to who. But everybody knows that there's a transaction from one person to another person for 10 Bitcoin that happened at X time in the day.
Yeah. So imagine I put this Bitcoin into this Dropbox, and then by putting it in the blockchain, what I'm effectively doing is I'm leaving it in a public place. And it's as if I've taken this Dropbox and just left it in front of City Hall. But I'm confident that only Colt will be the one who can open this Dropbox. Nobody else can steal the Bitcoin inside of it.
So we'll get into the reasons why this is so important that it works this way. There are a lot of benefits of doing it, of having transactions be public like this. And actually, it's sort of necessitated by the way Bitcoin works. But we'll get there, and we spend a lot of time talking about the blockchain.
So when Colt wants to spend his Bitcoin, what he does is he goes to City Hall, he goes to the blockchain, where all the Dropboxes are stored, and he picks up the Dropbox that he knows he created.
And I have my key at home.
He has his key.
I'm the only person who has it. And I go and I unlock it, and I get my 10 Bitcoin, and I can spend them. I can exchange them for US dollars somewhere. I can do whatever I want.
And he can send them to the next person.
So to summarize, at the core of Bitcoin, there are 2 concepts really. One is this idea of a one-way transaction, what we're calling a Dropbox. In reality, it's called an address. Bitcoin can go in, but only one person can take it out. So everybody can put something into there. Only one person can take it out.
So the second component is the notion of leaving that Dropbox in a public place. Instead of me manually delivering it to Colt and needing to see him in person or directly send him, for example, an email with the Bitcoin, I just leave that Dropbox in a public place. And I'm confident, and Colt is confident, that when he wants to spend that Bitcoin that's locked in that box, only he will be able to unlock it.
And now we're done. That's
And voila.